Yeah, I have chosen assignment number two, where I will focus on social class in the Victorian age. I've chosen the text David Copperfield and Hard Times, where I will give a short summary of the text, make character analysis of three of the main characters of the text, and then I will discuss how social class is portrayed in the text. The text David Copperfield is a text and a movie about the young boy David Copperfield who lives in a small town a bit beyond Common House. He lives with his mother and her house lady Peggotty. It basically tells the story about young Copperfield's journey from a boy to a man. He's born, what is it, 3 months after the death of his father, and his mother then marries a cruel man called Mr. Murdstone. Um, the relationship between Mr. Murdstone and David is far beyond good. Mr. Murdstone treats David very badly. So David is sent to a school for boys only, where he meets the cruel headmaster, Mr. Kriegel, and he's a man who beats children and disciplines them with brutal and violent methods. After a long journey in this school, Mr. Murdstone believes that David is still a failure, and due to the bad results at the strict boys' school, he's sent to London to live on his own and work in one of Mr. Murdstone's factories, where he's a part owner. Um, that's where he meets the a kind of nice man whose name is Wilkins Micawber. He's a he he somehow, what do you say, kicked the life back into David. And when Micawber leaves London after some time in jail, David seeks out his aunt Betsy Trotwood. Uh, so he walks from Dover to London, from London to Dover, and he finds her in Dover. Um, and after Mr. Murdstone seeks him out um, at his aunt's place, he denies his offer to return to him and stays with his aunt. David is a boy who puts everybody's else needs before his own. He's a very gifted boy that does not lack the gift of discipline and hard work, even though that Mr. Murdstone says otherwise. He has a lot of potential when it comes to evolving as a person. For example, when he helps the family Micawber through their economical crisis, Mrs. Micawber actually says, "God bless you, David Copperfield." So during the movie, we see a scared boy evolving into a strong character. And another example is when he turns down the offer to come home with Mr. Murdstone. He stands forward to him, look him in the eye, and actually disobeys him and say, "No, I won't." And Mr. Murdstone, as a character, is a charming-looking man on the outside, but on the inside, he's a very cruel and unforgivable man. He believes that hitting children is common discipline creation, and he several times, what do you say, put David to the ground to show his authority. With his charming outside, he blindfolds people, you could say, to see a man in disguise. Uh, and with some adjective, we can describe him as cruel, mean, horny for power, light on the outside but dark on the inside. He's also very wealthy. He has very good manners, and of course, he's charming. And when we go to the text about hard times, um, it's it's a story about a very strict teacher. He kind of wants all the kids in his school to be exactly the same. He doesn't think highly of fantasies, or what do you say. He doesn't have a sense of humor or fun or any kind of that to use his imagination. The story takes place in a very small town, surrounded by factories, industrial buildings, and it's very dark. The environment the story takes place, and all the houses kind of looks like the same boxes, all colorless, and have no charming personality about them. The story kind of describes life in a time where the industrial system takes over the common man, and people are very frustrated about the replacement of their powers. Um, if we make a character analysis of the teacher, whose name is Thomas Gradgrind, he's a very strict man, and he has lost faith in any childhood and any childish behavior. His opinion of education is that it is the most important thing in the world to be educated with facts and not with fiction. You can't think creative. You have to be strictly raised with fact put into your head. And he thinks that when the kids go to school, they should sit in the classroom, a plain gray, nothing, no colors at all, because he thinks that that would create too many fantasies and the ability to think by himself, and he doesn't want that. Um, he's a very futuristic man. He likes to look forward and not backwards. That's why he thinks that the education he's running is the best. Um, but he kind of crushes the free will to think positive and dream and have their your own fantasy. And he also has extremely high thoughts on himself and the way he's teaching. In hard times, it's actually hard to see a portrayal, uh, um, a social class dividement, but we do get to know that the story actually takes place in a city where the industrial system and the educational system has taken over. So it's kind of like a social class cut line through younger people and elder people, and the working people and the not working people. And therefore, this tells us that the story takes place in a city with a lot of lower social class citizens. If we look at the Copperfield, the social class is much more enlightened. We follow. Example is when we have our Mrs. Peggotty, who is a house lady with Mr. Murdstone and David's mother, um, but is fortunately forced to work for this cruel man. And all the way through the story, we get to meet some people who are forced to live beneath the heel of the, the more wealthy people. And for example, it's also when David is sent to the factory. Then Mr. Murdstone, for example, takes action behind the scenes when the hardworking people is doing the work at the factory itself. Um, yeah, that was it.